There we go. All right. Hello, everybody. Um, I just wanted to get a stream in. I wanted to do one during the game last night, but it just wasn't really feasible for me to do so. This one's not going to be super long. I'm just going to kind of recap the trip that I went on down to Raleigh and talk about all the fun that I had and everything. Talk about the last few games that the Canes have played, particularly the last four, and talk about some of the noise going on around Miko Rantanen and why I think a lot of it's bullshit. And some things like that. But first, we'll get to the comments here. And the first man who's always in here is here again. BTS, what's up, dude? Yellow, good to see you, pal. Thayer Crafts, what's up, buddy? All right. So, yeah, like I said, this was kind of unplanned. So, a little bit of quick channel news here. Getting closer to the end of the month, you guys might not see so much of me because I'm going to be moving around that time frame. And depending on what goes on in late April, May, and June, you might not see much of me then either. I will try to do stuff for the playoffs as much as I can. I may have to go exclusively to YouTube for a little while because while I'm transitioning away from being here, I'm not going to bother having the paid version of X, so I won't be able to stream over there. So please make sure you're subscribed on the YouTube side of things, even if X is your preferred platform, because I may not be over on X, at least, just temporarily. We'll get to that there. But just make sure you're subscribed and have the notifications on over on this side. So that way, in the event that I can only stream on YouTube, at least you know that it's happening and everything. I will do my best to do all the type of coverage that I did for some of the regular season games throughout the entire duration of Carolina being in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I will do my absolute best to make those things happen. I just can't promise anything right now because unfortunately I don't get paid for this. This is something that I would like to make money doing one day, but right now I have other priorities, and one of those is getting out of this. I almost said something I didn't want to say that would be slightly charged, out of this very congested area and getting to somewhere that I will like living a lot more with a lot of consistent weather, as opposed to sneezing and coughing and everything every time that the weather decides to change, which where I live is sometimes 4 times a day. I've experienced all 4 seasons in one day living here. All right. Thayer Kreff says, I must say I want Rantanen to sign, but it looks like he's not even trying, checked out mentally, in my opinion. So one thing about that is, and a lot of Finns are notorious for this, so this actually ties into the very first topic that we have here. AB, my buddy from Caniac Sessions, should be joining us here shortly. I sent him an invite. He said he was gonna jump in, so I sent him one. So when he gets here, he can come in and chime in on all this as well. So one thing when it comes to players from Sweden and Finland in particular, normally they are very, very stoic people. Like, I've met Finns and Swedes in real life, and they're not very talkative. They're very stoic. They're very quiet. More so when they're in the public eye, like when they're around the media and stuff, they just don't really say a whole lot. Aho actually, hold on one second. Let me send Griff an invite too then. And that takes care of that. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way there, we can go back to this. All right. So let me see, where was I? Okay. Oh, the Rantanen thing. Okay. So the thing about it is, Finns and Swedes, they're very stoic people. Like, you see, Aho doesn't show a whole lot of emotion. Teravainen was a robot. Kokiniemi is a little bit more outward emotionally than a lot of players from there are. Jokinen, he was a very stoic guy. Pitkanen. Now, if you want to talk about a Finn who did not fit that stereotype, Tuomo Ruutu was a very social guy from everything I saw of him. Like, he definitely did like to talk. Everyone I knew that ever met him said that they liked him a whole lot. All right, so we actually have Griff joining us, and I will bring him in here, and we will make that right there happen. I like this one better. What's up, buddy? Good to see you.
Hey, man, what's going on? Sorry I didn't jump in earlier. Been working late, so.
Dude, it's all good. I didn't even really plan on doing anything tonight. I'm just getting some stuff in now before the end of the month, because at the end of the month, I'm not going to be doing anything.
Right on. Can you hear me okay? I'm on my phone, so.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Audience,
Sweet.
can you hear him fine?
Right on. Well, yeah, I got to chime in on this Rantanen stuff. So,
Go right ahead.
I mean, you want me to just take it and run with it, or do you want to do your thing first? Because I could talk forever on this.
Okay, so I'll cover my parts real quick because I know you and I are probably in agreement on a lot of stuff, but I'll pitch the ball and then you can run with it.
All right.
Which is about the extent of what I would have been able to do as a quarterback. You don't want to see me try to throw things. You also don't want to see me try to run. But basically, my whole thing about it is, and I actually put it in the private chat just to use as notes. Here's the thing with here's why I personally think Rantanen will sign probably on the 8th or after. I know I initially said it was going to be done 2 weeks ago, and I ended up being wrong about it. But here's the thing about it. Let's say Rantanen signs an extension right now. Then that gives a 2-day window, or basically one at this point, but essentially still a 2-day window where Carolina could trade him. And even if he's got a full no trade clause, no matter what his AAV is and all that, whatever would kick in with the extension, if Carolina signs him to something like that, they can still trade him with, what his current no trade clause is, which is 9 teams, ultimately 10 now, if you think about it, because they can't trade him back to Colorado. That's against the rules. But the reason I think he's waiting is so that he knows he's not going to get dealt on March the 8th. And then at that point, his no trade clause from this season is out the window. Then he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. And he was at an optional skate today. And guys who think they're going to get traded, I don't think they go to optional skates. That's just me. But you take it from there. Feel free to talk about what Darren Drager said today, which I also, for the record, do not think is accurate.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of a lot of engagement farming out there right now. Mm-hmm. And then somebody says something, and then 2 or 3, 4 or more or whatever, reporters take that one story and they use that as a source, and they, basically regurgitate it. And then you get all of these amateur accounts and people, and, that take those reports and regurgitate those. And next thing you know, it's just this big snowball. And, what's true, what's not true, I don't know. But here's the thing. There's a lot of conflicting information today. First thing this morning, we get a nice piece from Emily Kaplan, kind of laying out the situation and, in Carolina, and talking about how, Carolina front office had a little bit of intel before they, pulled off the trade that, Carolina was a place that Rantanen would possibly be interested in signing. And so that gave them the confidence to go ahead and pull the trade without the extension in place. So you get that whole piece from Emily Kaplan. And then 10 minutes later, you got Darren Drager over here, who is, I don't know, that guy has been like off the chain today. Mm-hmm. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like,
you're on my show, so you can use pretty much any word you want to.
Yeah, but I mean, he's just been like, some of the stuff that he's coming out is just like way out of left field. Like, you hear things like, oh, well, Carolina's canvassed the entire league looking for, interest. And while that may be true, maybe they have talked to some teams. To call it canvassing, I don't know about that. I call it due diligence.
Yes.
Right. So if I'm Eric Tulsky, if I decide to make this trade, if Mikko Rantanen comes to me Thursday and says, hey, Eric, I'm not signing here. It's not going to happen, whether it be now or after the deadline or whatever. Go ahead and trade me or whatever it is. Maybe he doesn't have to say trade me. He doesn't have to bless off on it. But,
mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then Tulsky knows, okay, here's the areas, the teams I want to focus on, because this is where I think I can get the most return. Mm-hmm. Or this is what makes sense. That way he's not trying to find a spot for him Friday at noon.
Yes.
Right? So the way that Drager talked about it today was like, okay, Carolina's shopping and they're looking for a spot. They're going to execute this trade. And then this Hurricanes report account that's on Instagram who is also ticking me off today, that just regurgitates every little thing that he sees or hears. he quotes Darren Drager again on a radio interview saying, well, Carolina has requested that Mikko Rantanen submit a list of teams that he would be willing to be dealt to, which first of all is crap because he doesn't need to bless off on a trade. I think he's got a 10-team no trade clause. So that's standard business. When you go to a new team or when you go to, whatever, the team's going to ask him for his list. That's just part of the onboarding process.
Yeah, there's probably not a single trade like this or a single situation like this where that hasn't been done. And if you're not doing that, you're setting yourself up for failure.
But again, to spin it in a way that makes it look like a trade is imminent is really ticking me off. And if Mikko Rantanen is still on this roster Friday at 2:01 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to lose it on some of these people.
Yeah, and I feel you on that. So everybody, welcome to the impromptu. I think it would be session 72 of Caniac Sessions. Whatever number we're on now. AV, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you? It was good to see you this past weekend.
Oh, dude, it was so much fun.
Griff. I like the hat. You got a nice flat bill going on.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no, we had a whole lot of fun this weekend. It was I needed to get out of here for a weekend, so that was nice.
What are we talking about? I heard Griff go on a rant.
Particularly, so we're ranting about Rantanen, which is what I'm going to rename this after we're done tonight. I'm just going to change the name of the video to ranting about Rantanen because that's going to be 90% of what we talk about. But more than anything, it's like if Rantanen is like, and like I said, I think that you see him sign after the 8th because then he knows he's not getting moved because that he's going to get a full no trade clause. He's going to get at a minimum $13 million. I'm thinking it's going to be closer to 13.75 personally. But if he signs that deal, that has nothing to do with anything that would potentially happen to him on the market between now and 2:00 on Friday or whenever the exact trade deadline is, because that no trade clause he's going to get with his next contract, that doesn't kick in until next year with the extension. I think he's just making sure that he's getting paid and being kept in the same exact place that he's trying to dictate where he goes. So if Carolina does not trade him, which I don't think they will, then on March 8th, he's like, all right, I know I'm not getting traded and I'm essentially locked into whatever deal I sign from here. He gets his 13.75 million by 8 contracts with a full no trade clause, probably with a modifier for the last season, and that will be that. I think he's just waiting for that particular possibility to pass.
I'm just mad right now, and I need Friday to get here because I'm gonna say this, and then I'll shut up and let y'all run with it. If Eric Tulsky at this point trades Mikko Rantanen before Friday, with the state of the Eastern Conference, we just found out the Devils are even more handicapped. I hate to see that for Jack Hughes, but then we find out Dougie Hamilton's week to week. Their goalie's been out. He's back now, but I'm just saying, you got the Devils that are limping across the finish line here. You got the Rangers and the Blue Jackets that are trying to be relevant. Tampa looks like they're positioning themselves well. But anyway, the path to the Eastern Conference final is as clear as ever.
Yeah, it's a lot clearer than it's been for us the last couple of seasons.
Mm-hmm. And all you have to do is just execute. Just be the team that you are, and you're there. And then we worry about beating the Floridas or the Tampas or the Torontos or whoever that happens to be. But if we trade Mikko Rantanen and either one, do not get blown away by a return, or two, we find out after the fact that he did not say that he would not sign, I will have lost all faith and confidence in this front office, in Eric Tulsky. I think that that would label his first year as a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame the Gensel thing on him. Obviously, that was a Don Waddell, Tom Dundon. That was them. But if he fumbles this and he trades Mikko Rantanen and we're not getting something ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous in return, which I don't see happening because you're going to trade him to a contender.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that has a chance to sign him, or they're not going to give you a good return. So that's all I'm saying. If we find out, if he trades and we find out that it's, dude, I don't know what I'll do. But I really honestly believe, I know that what the media is saying, but this is what is driving the trade deadline right now as far as engagements on, clicks, engagement, whatever. That's how they're making their money, by pushing the story. I honestly believe that it's bullshit. I hope I'm not wrong. This is going to be a hell of a next freaking 36 hours or so.
Yeah, I'm going to try to be asleep for as much of it as possible. See, that's one saving grace that I have from being at work and being basically cut off from civilization for a little while. There's a few hours out of the day where I can't really hit refresh over and over again. But here's one other thing that I will say about this in regards to one of the comments in here, because this actually is going to go into a bigger topic. Catherine Bartlett, our resident Moose expert. There's a chance that Tulsky is using all the Mikko talk to distract from whatever else he has going on behind the curtain. Now, before we get to, because this will be the next topic actually, but before we move on to that, we'll talk a little bit more about Rantanen in particular, even though these two things kind of tie in together. I think that what she's saying here is a very distinct possibility, because the Canes are in a good position to rent another player. We don't need any more depth players. Defense, maybe you grab a good seventh defenseman for cheap, just so that way you have someone on the depth chart between Riley Stillman and Ty Smith and all your NHL regulars. As far as a second line center goes, or anything else that you guys think that this team should acquire, goalie, whatever, if you have any names in mind, go ahead and keep those primed, because we'll talk about that in a minute. But I don't see anything, some type of major trade happening. And the biggest reason why I'm not believing any of these insider guys, there was absolutely nothing that indicated the trade with Rantanen was even going to happen. But before the ink is even dry on this trade, there's people saying, oh, he's going to Chicago in the offseason. That doesn't make any sense. He's going to San Jose in the offseason. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, but still not much. Or he's going to Edmonton. How?
Yeah, and nobody had the Bjorkstrand and Yanni Gord trade either.
No,
that came out of nowhere. No, that wasn't. They weren't on anybody's imminent trade list.
Here's one thing that we have to think about then. Are the organizations getting better at hiding stuff from getting out?
Maybe.
And then that makes the trade deadline look a little bit slower than it actually is. Bojangles, good choice.
Yes, indeed.
That makes the trade deadline look like it's a little bit slower than it actually is, and they're desperate for clicks because the big blockbuster already took place. That was our trade for Rantanen. So if these guys didn't know that Rantanen was getting traded in the first place, how am I supposed to believe that they know that he's going to Chicago, or that they know he's going to Edmonton in the offseason, or that he's going back to Colorado, or whatever they want to assume? Additionally, how can I believe them right now?
Yeah. I don't know.
AB?
I will say this about, the trade speculation and everything. Like you said, the Mikko Rantanen trade, nobody expected. I mean, all of us talked about, it's a dream target. This is the dream target. And there were rumors going around, and you hosted a live stream, and all of a sudden he was a Carolina Hurricane. And, Emily Kaplan posted something saying that this was on his desired destinations if he were to be traded. But again, it's a culture shock. It happens. The NHL is business. It's business. In regards to insiders saying that...
Hey, AB, can you do me a favor, actually, when you're done with this particular statement of yours? You know how you do the present thing? I haven't got to read the Emily Kaplan thing yet. Can you pull that up so we can talk about it with the audience?
Yeah, sure.
And do the present thing. You just take complete control of that, because I have a hard time doing it with only one monitor.
Yeah. But like I'll say, the insiders can get a lot right. But then again, they're not in the front office. So they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Yes, they'll have tips and everything like that. We also saw something where the insiders were thinking, I think it was 2 seasons ago, Mason Marchment was going to be a Carolina Hurricane.
I was so excited for that, man. The disappointment I felt when that turned out not happening.
It went to Dallas.
Don't forget about the Hey Shay Vladimir Tarasenko as a Carolina Hurricane.
Yeah, that's right.
Personally, I was more disappointed about the Mason Marchment one.
Yeah,
because I was like, oh my God, we need a player like that. I can care less about Vladimir Tarasenko. I'll take Mason Marchment any day.
But anyways, with regards to Rantanen, and Griff pointed this out in the group chat, they had an optional skate today. And there were 10 guys on the ice, and Rantanen was one of them. If he was thinking he was going to get traded, I'm not sure he would be on the ice.
Griff and I literally said that right before you got here.
Yeah, I tweeted that today, and it's got like 28,000 anyway.
So, but with regards to Rantanen, and then I'll pull up that Emily Kaplan thing. I think he's going to stay. I think a deal is going to get done after the trade deadline. If Tulsky didn't think so, he's going to be traded. Now, Tulsky, he's a stats guy, and he will move something if he doesn't see it working. But I really see this one working out, and I hope Tulsky does.
I don't want to trade, period. I don't care if he signs or not. I'm at the point where if I don't care if he signs. Okay, let me back up. I obviously want him to sign, but I don't care if we keep him as a rental at this point based on the landscape in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, if he experiences playoff Raleigh, if he has any doubt, that might be what pushes him over the line.
It could be.
Because he's never even got to, Kuznetsov got to experience it on the other end. Rantanen hadn't even had that.
Right. Taylor Hall, too. Taylor Hall experienced it, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just work to extend him every day from now until July 1st or whatever. I don't know what the free agency day is. Is it July 1st again?
Yes, July 1st.
Work from now until then. If you don't get it done, it's not because you didn't put forth effort. And that's all we can ask for. Like if he walks in free agency, but we, tried everything, I mean, I'd be proud. Like, thank you, front office. Thank you, Carolina management, for doing everything you can to make this team better. I can live with that.
Additionally,
but if we trade him and then we just and we get a shit return, or we find out that he didn't tell Tulsky, no, I'm not signing. If we trade him and that's not the case, I don't know what I'm going to do, man.
At that point, I would be rather upset with it. But let's just say he did walk for nothing. We have a ton of cap space. It's like, I'll make a little bit of a bold prediction here. I can almost guarantee Nikolai Ehlers is going to be a Hurricane. I can just feel it coming. The goaltending situation should improve this offseason. Even if he walks for nothing, it's not like we have a dry prospect pool. We still have our next 2 first-round picks. We didn't give up any of our top prospects, and our next franchise defenseman is coming. This is not the worst scenario, even if he does walk. Because for years, people bitched about this front office is not aggressive enough at the deadline. And in the last 2 seasons, you couldn't have been more aggressive than what they have been. So I'd rather him not be moved unless it's a colossal return, because at this point, like you're saying, the Eastern Conference is going to be a lot easier than it has been for us in the past.
There's a legit path to the Eastern Conference final. Yeah.
And then we're probably waiting on Tampa or Florida there. Depending on how the standings shake out, I agree with what you're saying about keeping him regardless at this point. I don't think that we should even ship him off, because a lot can change between March 8th and wherever Carolina's postseason ends. AB, go ahead. I've seen you trying to jump in here.
Oh, no, sorry. My roommate was coming in, so I had to mute.
Oh, hey, Payson. What's up, bro?
Oh, you know him.
I do know him.
How come I don't know this roommate?
Because he didn't go to the game because I brought one of my buddies. But he's a trip. He's my
AB, you cheating
cousin.
on me?
He is.
Yeah, he's a trip.
You cheating on me, AB?
I would never. Are you kidding me? That's why I put Brandon on the couch.
And Jeremy was on the other couch.
Exactly.
Frankie, you want to come say hi?
So what were we talking about? Sorry, I was just waiting for him to.
No, the Kaplan piece. But I've got to jump off.
Yeah,
here.
the Kaplan piece. Yeah, that was going to be the next thing.
Here, let me pull that up real quick, Brandon.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't get the chance to read it yet. I heard about it, but I didn't get to sit down and read it yet. It also took me 3 days to read Aho's Player Tribune thing, so don't rely on me for.
Oh, Griff was giving you so much stuff in the intermission.
Yeah,
read it. And
I'm
Brandon
like, no,
was
I have
already
pizza
stressed,
rolls.
and it was just, ugh.
I wanted my pizza rolls. Pizza rolls were more important in that moment.
And
the article won't.
Screwed. I got
the
screwed.
article won't go cold. Okay, before we talk about anything else, I have to say this. Y'all make fun of me for my superstitions. Griff, give me 1 second. I just want you to hear this. You know how I said I ate 2 buffalo wings, Buffalo scored 2 goals. And then we were on our way to the game on Saturday, and we saw 2 Canadian geese walk out in front of the car. And I said Edmonton will score 2 goals tonight.
But they scored 3.
Well, not counting the empty netter because it was 1959. It was completely irrelevant. But they scored 2 and 1. I'm just saying, my superstitions have foundation.
I ate 6 buffalo wings when we played the Sabres and we won.
Yeah, but that doesn't apply to you. It applies to me. That's the thing. If I hadn't eaten any of them, Buffalo wouldn't have scored at all.
That means I need to lose some weight.
Well, I think you're both just put on the air. Full shit. So, well, that's all right. All right, fellas. Well, we'll reconvene here. Probably if we'll talk later about the next session, but I was thinking Friday night. But just text me, y'all. I got to get off here. I just got off work, so I need to get myself together.
Kick the feet up.
What?
You got to kick the feet up.
Well, we'll try.
Okay.
All right. Later.
All right. See you
later. Yeah, I should be good for Friday. I'm not doing anything Friday.
All right.
night.
Let me.
Oh, you're gonna pull the article
my
up?
Screen really quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a water and pet this animal over here.
All right. I'll
Watch out! I don't want to hit you with
start this up.
Watch your foot.
All right. Here we go. All right. Can you see this?
Yep. Give me 1 second. I'll pull it up. I'm getting.
No, you're good.
Watch out, Frankie. Frank's laying in the way of the chair because he thinks he's cool or something.
Frankie
Doodle. That was so fun to do that to him.
All right. Can you see it?
I can see it. But
right,
if you want to, yeah, you go right ahead.
Any big splashes left? So the big question on everybody's mind, what is going to happen with Rantanen? The Carolina Hurricanes traded for the 28-year-old on January 24th. Like their acquisition of Jake Getzel last year, the Canes made a move to acquire an unrestricted free agent without an extension in place. But I think Carolina had a different approach this time. With Gensel, the Canes were too far apart before it was too late. Plus, the Canes said that they had intel that they were a team Rantanen was interested in before making the trade.
So let me say one thing real quick on that part. This is what I was talking about with why I think that they talked to Aho, Kokiniemi, and Walker probably beforehand just to gauge his interest of playing in Raleigh, living in Raleigh, and all that. One other thing we have to consider, he's got an apartment now.
Oh, he does?
That I read something about it, that he's got an apartment and his wife's there, or girlfriend, or whatever she is.
His wife. He was
that is his wife.
Hotel,
okay.
And Aho offered him
yeah, but he was sick
because Aho's house probably has like 9 bedrooms or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Rantanen was interested in them before making the trade, and I read that he was shocked with the trade, and he's trying to make that adjustment. So the Hurricanes made a sizable contract over the Four Nations break that was over $10 million. But Rantanen said he wasn't ready. Now, look at the situation from Rantanen's perspective. He thought he was going to spend his entire career in Colorado, and the trade left him completely shell-shocked. Rantanen barely got any time with the Canes before the Four Nations break. The winger is methodical, and he's viewing it as a two-step process. Does he want to sign in Raleigh? And if so, what does the contract look like at the time of the offer? He was still on step one, and free agency is now just 4 months away. Many teams are wondering whether Carolina, never afraid to do the brash and unexpected, would flip Rantanen considering how much it gave up to acquire him. If Carolina double rented, a team could have Rantanen for just over $2 million for the rest of the season. There would be plenty of takers. Obviously, we have heard teams call and see, but as my opinion, Tulsky has not budged. However, Rantanen hasn't told Carolina no. If the Canes get any indication he doesn't want to re-sign with them at all, they would recalculate. If it's still up in the air, my gut says the Canes keep Rantanen and bet that he'll help them get over the playoff hump and ultimately decide Carolina is where he wants to play. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, that kind of coincides with everything you, me, and Griff was just talking about, though. It's like, maybe he doesn't sign right. It's like the fact that he could sign a contract right now and still be traded somewhere else with a complete no trade clause for that starts next season before March the 8th is probably what's keeping him from putting pen to paper. I bet there's a deal already done. It's missing the part. That's all that it's waiting on, because he doesn't want to sign here and be like, oh, by the way, you're going to Winnipeg out of nowhere, or you're going to Chicago out of nowhere, God forbid, stuff like that. So that's the only thing about it that I think is holding him up. And like I said, if he experiences playoff Raleigh, if he had any doubt left, that might be what does it, because we got our playoff reputation for a reason.
Well, even then, when you came to the Sabres game, and you and I and everybody in our group chat had worries about everything, and Marty Necas went to Colorado and has been tearing it up. Again, I want to preface this that Rod's system is different than Colorado's. The Avalanche fly, especially with McKinnon and McCarr, and that fits Necas' role. And he took off. And with Rantanen, it's a culture shock. You won a Stanley Cup, and, this is all you've known. And getting traded out of nowhere, it sucks.
Yeah. And Necas,
go ahead.
Necas, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion, with the exception of that hot start that he had at the beginning of the season with Carolina. It was kind of a foregone conclusion that Necas was going to be gone at some point, because the contract they signed him to, that was a very movable deal. That was a deal where Carolina could retain salary to get him out if they had to. That was, it walked him to free agency, so it pretty much guaranteed he was going to get traded. So the only difference being, had what the season started, the way he started the season, had that kept going, I think at that point Carolina really heavily revisits, if not pulls the trigger on signing him long term. But then we saw the same thing that always happened with Necas, is it tails off. Then he starts making bad decisions with possession. He starts having mistakes here and there defensively. Granted, he did not have nearly as many of them in the last part of his tenure with Carolina as he did before, but he was signed to a deal essentially to be moved. I think everyone knew that it was going to happen.
Now looking back at it, yes.
Yeah. But Rantanen had no idea that he was getting moved. Like, there was no indication that was going to happen.
That's one of your best players, one of the top players in the world. I will say this, now looking back on it, we obviously saw Necas' dad be vocal about everything, and Necas signed that 2-year, 6.5 AAV a year. And we talked about Rantanen and dream trade, and we're like, it's not going to happen. Maybe JT Miller, and everything like that. And we gave up Martin Necas. That Necas is a great player. He is a very good player. The system just didn't fit him. And, I wish him all the best. And Jack Drury, same thing. He's a great player. I just don't think the system fit him.
Well, see, that's where I have to disagree on Drury. I think he was a perfect fit for the system. It's just he was kind of redundant in our lineup, and that trade doesn't happen without us throwing Drury in because Colorado needed that extra depth at center. Drury was actually a perfect fit, but the problem with it was we already had Tyson Jost. You already had Ryan Suzuki in the system. And then if we get another center, which is actually going to be when we move on from the Rantanen topic, if we get another center, we need one that's on the depth chart between Aho and Kokiniemi, not below either one of those guys. That's the only thing this team is missing. Best case scenario, you find a center to go on the depth chart above Aho, but there's only about 10 of those in the world, and none of them are available.
Yeah, I will say this. I'll go back to Rantanen, but I'll cover the centers. I've been thinking about this, and I'm going to eat my words. And yes, Barry Kokoniemi, God.
I told you.
He belongs on the Hurricanes.
You're damn right he does.
I was frustrated about everything. However, I was frustrated that he was being pushed as a second-line center, which he's not. And when Jordan Stahl retires, he's going to fill that role, and I think he's going to do great. Okay, he was drafted 3rd overall. Okay, that's fine. There are plenty of players that have a very hyped up, draft, and they fill in a role to where it's not, the top line scorer or anything like that. And that's okay. But people that are 2019 fans, you know who you are, were like, oh, he's a waste. He's a waste. And I felt the same way. But I've been a fan of this team since I can remember. I watched this team win the Stanley Cup when I was a kid. I hated Jesperi Kokoniemi, but he fits on this team. Now I'll shift back to Mikko Rantanen. When we watched the game in against Buffalo, and we watched it against Edmonton and Calgary, he looked so comfortable in the Sabres game. And I will say this, the lines were different. It was Fetch, Aho, and Rantanen. But, man, a guy that's a 6'4" guy that's a power skater who can shoot, him and Aho have some chemistry. I mean, you had that goal right behind the net, and he made the decision to not skate right into the front of the net and pass it right to Aho point blank. And then he had a goal right there at the top of his spot on the power play. Rister got right through it. And we'll look at the one against Edmonton where he made a beautiful cross-ice pass and went in the net. Now, I will say this, that is a little bit frustrating, and then I'm going to turn off my camera because I got to go get my charger real quick. Rod still is not ready to trust him yet, in my opinion, because that first line you obviously have in overtime. You have Stahl, Slavin, and Burns, which is obvious. You want them on the face-off, and they change quick. And it's Aho and Jarvis. Jarvis is a great player. However, if he builds that trust with Rod, it's going to be Aho, Ghost, and Rantanen. I don't think Rod's ready for that, but he has accepted also the fact that he can play on the right wing. And I also do like, and then I'll actually go and get the charger for my computer, if you don't mind. I will say this. In the game against Detroit, when Jarvis was on the left side, you could tell how comfortable he was having an opposite side winger. You saw it with the passes because he had Nathan McKinnon. Jarvis is not a Nathan McKinnon, but he can play. And I think that also made him more comfortable. And I think that's what they have to do with the Lions going forward. Yes, he's a right winger. He can also be a center. But with Aho Rantanen, you have to put Jarvis out there because Rantanen is so used to a righty, and it just clicks. I'll be right back. Just respond to what I said.
While you're doing that, I'm going to, I will respond to some of the things you said, and I will also read some of the comments. Yes, having a righty out there, especially one who's as utilitarian as Jarvis and can be playing on his offside, adding an extra element of defense, extra element of physicality, and aggressive forechecking to that line, that's going to create a lot of opportunities for a guy like Mikko Rantanen who likes to fly the zone really quickly and to be really useful during all that sustained offensive zone pressure that Carolina has. So, yes, absolutely on that. Now, while he's getting his charger, I will start going through some of the comments here. 1 second, please. Dylan Bollinger, what's up, bro? Who's even still available that we would want and could make a difference? I will get back to you on that. Right now, I have Brock Nelson, Ryan O'Reilly, and a very, very outside shot being Dylan Cousins. I will elaborate on that further when AB gets back because we're going to talk about potential trade targets. I'm also going to talk a little bit about John Gibson, but I'm going to primarily let AB have that one because he is the goaltending expert here among him and I. I tried playing goalie like 4 times, and I sold all my gear to a friend of mine because I was going overseas anyway. And I was like, oh, when I get back, I'll buy new gear and pick it back up again. And I never did. I just AB, on the other hand, he knows goalies. Catherine Bartlett says, hard disagree that Mikko is disengaged. Having watched him for years on the Avs, he is very connected with the team and is growing each game. It has me very excited. Yeah, I think he's developing a lot more chemistry as well. So everything you're saying there, absolutely, I agree with that. If 24-20-96 line finds a little bit more chemistry, we'll finally have a first line with more lethality than we have maybe ever had once they really get going. Captain Cringe says Friedman on TNT pregame show confirmed the rumors of the Kane shopping Rantanen around tonight for what it's worth as well. So I'll get to that.
I don't believe that at all.
I'll get to that in a second, though. I'll get to that in a second because there's a few other comments in here in regards to that, and we'll just address everything at once there. Matthew Brown says if we trade him, then Tulski is a big zero. He's really starting to gel with the line in the system. Stick with your plan and hold on to him, and eventually he'll sign here. Canes need to stop this. Yeah, I don't think he's leaving, dude. I really don't. March 8th is when I'm going to be like, okay, he doesn't have to worry about getting traded. Whatever deal he signs next is concrete. That's when I think that's the last variable left right now, other than whether he just doesn't want to be there, which it doesn't look that way to me. Otherwise, I think he would have already been like, hey, get me out of here. I think that would have happened already, especially considering you can retain 50% and, someone's renting him for, fucking $2 million.
I will say this, and I'll let you read the comments again, just real quick. Again, rumors. I think Tulski knows what he's getting with Rantanen, and you don't trade a guy like that. And he has faith, and I have faith that he's going to sign here. Matter of fact, I know he's going to sign here. I know he is. Okay? Just put the pressure off of him at the trade deadline, and that makes him feel better that they value him as a player. So, yeah, go ahead.
But, yeah, because, and I know I've said this multiple times, but let's just say they do sign him to an extension, and he signs it right now. That's 2 days that teams can flood Carolina with offers, and the next thing you know, he's somewhere he doesn't want to be, and he's already signed a contract, and he doesn't have as much control over his fate anymore. That's the only thing about it. So once that variable's out the window, I think we officially go on Moose Watch at that point. I will actually start doing Moose Watch episode live streams as frequently as possible after that.
All right. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So that's all I've got for that right there. Now, one thing that Colby said here that also ties into this. It would be a disservice to them as an organization if they didn't gauge what offers would look like, and he is absolutely right about that. If you don't have this type of situation where this guy's still a pending UFA, even though he may not be come Friday evening, you have to take the time to explore all possibilities. If you don't, you're setting yourself up for failure. So Colby is absolutely right about that.
I will say this real quick, and then I'll let you do your thing. Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
Well, I brought you on here to talk, motherfucker. I don't want you to just sit there and not say anything.
Anyways, Miko ranked. I play NHL 25 a lot. And
I'm sorry. That's just.
okay,
I'm sorry.
right,
that was just funny.
All right.
That was just funny the way you said that. I'm sorry.
Just listen. I know it's not accurate, but the negotiations I had with Rantanen were pretty accurate. He wanted 14 for 8 years. I brought him down to 13.5 with a full no movement clause. That is the max that I will go with him. And I think that's a good thing. But like you said, also, Tulsky is always looking for new guys. And it may not seem like it, but this guy is smart. Yes, he doesn't have a hockey background, but analytics, and he knows the players he's bringing in. Yeah, he's still shopping, but I really don't think that Rantanen's going to be moved, and I really think he's going to be signed here. So go ahead.
I do too. Thayer Kraft also said that's a unique perspective. I don't have any prior experience with him as a player. That makes me feel a lot better, Catherine. He was replying to her comment about Moose not being disengaged.
She is like one of the best people that makes me feel so comfortable about this whole thing.
Absolutely.
And if she's wrong, I'll still forgive her, but I'll be a little bit upset.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, if she's wrong, we're all wrong because, like, her outcome is the one that's always the most likely.
Sorry.
It is a funny word, isn't it? Thayer Kraft says, it's all content farming when people are saying the Devils are a trade target. No way we would trade him in conference, let alone division, let alone to the team that's 2 points behind us in the fucking standings. That's not happening. When James Nichols said that, I quote tweeted it and I said, yeah, bro, that's not happening with a thumbs up emoji. That's not happening. Not to mention, what would New Jersey give up to get Mikko Rantanen potentially only for 2 months?
I'll tell you something.
I'll make that deal on one condition.
Nemec first.
I'll tell you what. I'll make that deal on one condition. Nico Hischier for Rantanen 1-for-1. 2C problem solved. That's the only way I would do it, and there's no way in hell they'd ever give him up.
I would too.
I would do that immediately.
If you want to see something about the Devils, because they're flailing right now, if you know Barstool watched Frank the Tank when he crashes out against the Devils, it is so funny. Yeah. So that's just a little side note, but he's not going to the Devils. They have Timo Meyer, and he's a flop already. Thank God we didn't trade for him.
Yeah, and they wanted Nikishin for him. No, get out of here. Catherine Bartlett says there's a chance that Tulsky is using all the Mikko talk to distract from whatever else he has going on behind the curtain. Yes. We're gonna get to that because I got some names written down here, particularly 4 players I want to talk about that Carolina could be pursuing between now and noon on Friday or 2:00 on Friday or whatever it is. I always forget what time it actually is.
I got really excited about Pierre LeBron. I fell for it today. You saw it.
The Brock Nelson one.
I had to mute the guy because I got so angry. But that could be a guy that we're looking for too. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
All Canes Network. Hey, what's up, buddy? It was good to meet you this past weekend. That was a lot of fun. We will do that again soon. O'Reilly, yes, he's one of the names on the list. I will get to that. Dylan Bollinger says KK with Hall is perfection. They have some serious chemistry, dude.
100%.
Him, and who else was he with? Blake. It was Jackson Blake.
He was with, but I will say this too. Hall is being considered low third liner, but like we saw in one of the games,
he played his ass off last night.
But he can still fly.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons he's such a good fit. That's one of the reasons he's such a good fit is those wheels that he's got.
He'll be re-signed.
Yeah, no, I think he's saying. And speaking of, the next comment is actually in regards to him. Austin Holmes says Taylor Hall hasn't been spoken of late. I think we could extend him if term AAV is a decent one. If we can get Taylor Hall for something along the lines of a 3x3, I'm signing that immediately.
Yeah, I would say 3x3. Ideally, I'd want a 3.27 or 2.5. But again, Taylor Hall is a hot commodity. But he wants to settle with a team that's a contender. So I would be willing to do 3x3.
We have breaking news here. Bunting got traded to Nashville. LMAO. Is this real, or did one of the gotcha accounts do it again? Yeah, I'll leave that up to you. You do that. I'll keep going through some other comments here. Tim Bowman, welcome to the show. What do you think of the talk of trading for Geeky and another forward from Boston? Bringing Morgan Geeky back would not upset me at all. I really liked him. The only complaint I ever had about Morgan Geeky, he's a little slow for this system. That's about it. But his ability at clean entries is sorely, sorely needed. He doesn't do them quickly. He just does them very surgically. I would be totally okay with bringing Morgan Geeky back. He would not be my first choice personally, but he's on the short list. Yes, actually, let me write that name down because I didn't know if he was going to be available or not, but it makes sense.
So the official trade is in.
Okay, what you got?
Michael Bunting to the Predators for Luke Schenn and Tommy Novak.
I'm sorry, that one doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't. They're floundering right now. They don't know what they're doing.
Kyle Dubas has got to
honestly,
stop playing in
I will
NHL
say this.
25.
You and I talked about this when we were hanging out. I do miss Michael Bunting.
I liked him. He just never fit.
I really did like him a lot. And I wish I could take that trade back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I liked him. I really did. I hate that he never fit.
That's a defenseman and I guess a prospect.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have a trade that Pittsburgh also made. I'm going to look at it here. So Jordan Greenway was talks with Buffalo, to be traded, but he did sign an extension for 2 years of an average of $4 million.
Okay.
And then we saw the Yanni Gourde trade. And then Pittsburgh also made a move. And I'll have to talk to my guys at the Penguins Collective about this. They traded a 5th-round draft pick for Vincent Desjarnais. It's not the J.
It doesn't have to be a J. It's French.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. You know,
Benny Desharnais, yeah. I believe is who you're referring to. I think.
I think it's an AHL player, but
Pittsburgh
is floundering, man.
But, yeah, well, one day we need to do something with our buddies over at the Penguins Collective. Those guys are really cool. They're cool guys. I like them a lot.
I can do something with them tonight. Let me.
Oh no, dude! I ain't got time for that. It's already 8:40. I gotta get off here in about 30 minutes. I gotta be up early tomorrow. Let's get through some more of the comments here, and then we'll keep talking about some more stuff here. Dylan Bollinger says, "I know we're talking about rants for obvious reasons, but let's give Hall the give everyone seems to have forgotten about in this trade who has maybe been one of the most consistent and best players we have now." Yes, and he fit in pretty seamlessly. Like after the first couple of games, it was noticeable how well he was fitting into the system. Last night, Taylor Hall. Last night was Taylor Hall's best game so far as a Hurricane, and he didn't even record a point. Like he was absolutely on fire last night. I really hate he didn't score on that penalty shot. Av Clark says, I would love Morgan Geeky to come back to Carolina. He's been great for Boston. I wouldn't mind bringing him back. Like I said, he's not number 1 on my list. He's actually more like number 5, but I would not complain one bit if they brought him back. Catherine Bartlett says, once 96, 20, and 24 learn to anticipate each other a little better, the pace will pick up at both 5-on-5 and the power play will gain momentum. I agree, because they started off looking pretty good last night, I thought, in the first period. And then as the game went along, they kind of started having some issues, but I like what I'm seeing out of that line. I really do. And I'm the first one to criticize line combinations that I think don't work. There's been plenty of times I go, okay, what the fuck is this? But I've never felt that way about that line.
I will say this to Catherine. I want to hear her input about this. Catherine, do you think Mikko is going to say why and what do you think the price is to keep him? Because she knows about Colorado and Carolina, but I also want to hear her comment. Sorry, I'm taking over your show. But I also want to hear her input about what the past 3 games have looked like, because he's looked very comfortable the past 3 games. So,
Yeah.
anyways, go ahead.
And I thought he was pretty dominant, especially on Whalers night.
Mm-hmm.
So Tanner says, seeing how engaged Miko is in doing opposite, matching with Aho on the dad trip, plus Papa Aho wanting Rance to stay, that contract will get signed. We're all thoroughly convinced of it, dude. Like,
did you see that interview?
Which one?
With Aho's dad?
Not yet. No.
He spoke highly of Miko. He's known him since he was 15 years old. I don't think Miko's dad made it out there, but I saw KK and Aho's dads have dinner with Miko, which is a good sign too.
That is. Austin Holmes says, I definitely hope and that Rantanen will stay here once he hears loud Caniac crowd at Lenovo. Like I said, dude, that might be what gives him the last little bit of a nudge and be like, okay. And then he signs.
He heard it on Saturday too. Just FYI.
Oh, what he'll hear in playoff Lenovo, though. That's a different monster.
Eardrums will burst.
Aaliyah Yasmin says, I'm so tired of all the noise around Rantanen and can't wait for this trade deadline to be over. That's part of the reason we're doing this tonight, to tell everybody, like, look, I've never claimed to be an insider. I never will. I never will be an insider. I am way too foul-mouthed, and I'm not a people person. I'm very horrible at communicating. I like animals more than I like people, so unless someone is going to tie a message to Frank's collar and deliver it to me, because I don't answer the phone for unknown numbers and all kinds of other shit, I will never be an insider.
Oh my
But what I will say is, I was pretty close when I estimated Jarvis's contract, and I was close on what Slavin's actual market value was. He just chose to take $1.5 million pay cut. I'm very confident about this. The one thing I got wrong definitively at this point is the time frame. I expected February 22nd was when I thought Rantanen would sign. But now it's looking more like it'll be after the trade deadline. It would not surprise me if on March 8th is when he ultimately inks that deal. That's what I think.
I will say
we've
this
already
about
stated
Brandon,
the reasons as for a while.
The people person. Oh my God. Oh, he was messing with this dog, Frankie, who's a great boy. He's a great boy. And he was getting so agitated with people more than dogs. It was really funny. If you ever meet Brandon in person, please say hello to him in a Hurricanes game. Like, he's a great dude. He's one of my good friends. So, yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as great.
Stop.
I'm just saying, like, if I order 2 crunch wraps and I don't get them, we already know the consequences of that. And speaking of Frank, he's over there hanging out. He's just hanging out. He's doing his little running dog pose.
He's got the couch that I had, which, by the way, broke. So we had to get a new one. With Brandon was staying with us. I broke it, by the way, not Brandon. So just FYI.
And it ended up being the exact same couch again.
It did.
Just a slightly different color. Colby McLam says it's real. I guess that's in regards to the Bunting trade. All Canes Network says it was Friedman, not Friesman, that reported it. Okay, that's an important distinction nowadays.
LeBron.
Yeah, the Pierre LeBron. That's a good one.
I had to mute him.
Anthony Corona. Shane mentioned Colton Sissons with Mike today on their podcast. Interesting. He'd actually be a decent fit.
Is he right-handed center?
I believe so.
He's a right winger, I think.
No, he's a winger. I'm pretty sure. Here, I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
Right winger. We need a center.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. As soon as I get through the rest of the.
I think Sissons is a winger. Let me double check.
No, I'm doing it right. No, I'm pulling it up right now. It says he's a center on here on the official Predators roster. I just don't think we need another depth center. Like, we're good there. Unless we bring him in and bump Yost back down to the minors, but then we still need one more center.
He's got 20 points and a 9 minus. Well, if you're playing with Predators,
well, if you have to spend part of your time on ice with Brady Shea, you'd be on
his face-off percentage is 54.8.
That wouldn't hurt either. No, if we brought him in and bumped Yost back down to the minors, I'd be totally cool with that.
He's a righty. I wouldn't be opposed.
Captain Cringe says it's hard to mask the issues we have defensively, though. Can't solve them now because of Morrow Nikishin coming in to replace Burns and Orlov this season. That is true. Austin Holmes says I miss Bunting, but I really wish he could have stayed to see the Caniac crowd during the playoffs, like he mentioned on the Canes Corner podcast just before he got traded for Gensel. Yeah, that was right before he got traded. Colby says him. Colby McLam says, you honestly had me convinced when he got the new gloves. Additionally, he got those in the alternate colors and the Whalers colors. You don't do that for a guy who's
did he?
Not
for
saying,
the Whalers colors?
Yeah, he had HG12s on for the Whalers colors, but they probably had a pair laying around.
Helmet too.
Yeah, no, he's got the CCN V08 across the board now,
and
which
his visor is tilted. It's not straight, which
Miko's one of those guys that I think that if he didn't have to have a visor on, he wouldn't. I just a lot of the guys who cock it up like that do that just because they have to wear one.
Reminds me of early Ovechkin.
Yeah, and who else? Cronwall wore his like that too.
Yeah.
Tim Bowman says, any crazy goalie trade for us, or do stay with what we have until the offseason? We'll get to that momentarily. Let me get caught up on these right here.
I know the goalies.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you have that. Dylan Bollinger says, should we bring up Nadeau and let him start to play?
He's not ready.
Well, not just that, but Yost is a center. So
here, let me grab this real quick. All
right. Av Clark says, I believe also on the Sabres game, Mikko spoke highly of the fans and all the players in the locker room. Yes, that is true. He is also about he about stumbled and said it was a great place to play, but he backtracked to great fans. Okay, I understand. Anthony Corona says Shane said he was strong in the dot and brought some sandpaper to his game. If we do that and bump Yost back down to the minors or make him 13th forward, that's actually a good move. I actually really like that idea. And last comment here, and then we're going to catch up on some other stuff. Aliyah Yasmin says Rantanen was at an optional skate, which gave me so much confidence that he's saying, yeah, we were talking about that at the beginning of the show. Yes, that's a very good sign. If he wasn't interested in saying, I don't think he'd be at an optional skate. It's just
100%.
I could be wrong about that. I don't know the guy, but if I had to guess, I would. Now, here's what we're going to do. And any comments regarding this, we will do our best to get to them. Here are 5 players. Actually, I'm going to add 6 now. And if you can do the split screen stuff again, we'll pull up their contract data and their stats.
All right. Let me send me a text of which ones you want to pull up.
I'll put them in the private chat.
Okay. Let me go on Puckpedia here real quick. And you want the side-by-sides?
Yeah, we can do the side-by-side with their – if we just do Puckpedia, it'll show their basic stats, and we can talk about stuff from there because we're not looking for much in terms of defense with the forwards. And we, whoever it was that commented, I think it was Captain Cringe, we can't really do anything about our defense this year. We're just kind of stuck with what we got.
Which I'm not complaining about because there's somebody.
All right, I put them all in the private chat.
I'll do the first 2 comparison.
Okay. And then when you're ready to bring it up, let me know. I'm going to grab a water real quick.
All right. Well, everybody, he already grabbed a water. I was going to be like, does anybody have any questions?
No, I have mini fridge in here.
Let me do this real quick.
Don't get nervous. We have 575 or 545 viewers right now.
Not my problem. All right, hold on. Let me do this. All right, let me fix this real quick. Players. All right.
That one got to 875, I want to say, all Canes.
What?
The night Rantanen got traded, the stream I was doing. Because I remember I was sitting on the couch and they said Taylor Hall, and they said, but it's a 3-team trade. I'm like, wait, if we're doing a 3-team trade and it involves Taylor Hall in Chicago, there's something going on. I sure as hell did not expect the result that we got.
Oh, I thought it was KK. I was like, there is a God.
I was like, I thought it was
No.
going to bring either Miller or Pedersen or someone like that, and then it ended up being Rantanen, and I was like, oh, holy shit.
All right, let me do this real quick. Scouting reports. There we go. All right. God, I don't remember how I did it. Oh, here we go. All right. Let's do this real quick. All right. All right, let's figure this out real quick. In season, gains. All right, let's do this. Create. This is a little bit of a hard ball to deal with here. So just keep talking to the people.
Well, we got another comment here. Av Clark says, I know we were probably tired of talking about Mikko, but Whalers night when him and Aho connected on a goal, those smiles on both of them spoke miles. Yeah. So actually, that's one other thing I was going to talk about. Like, okay, I can talk about the trip for a little bit while you're doing that, because that was one of the other topics here. Whalers night, that was one of those nights where you saw when Carolina plays to its strengths and plays its best, how good they can be, because that was the best game that, with the exception of last night, that's the best game that they've had probably in the last couple of weeks. I was really happy with, there were no passengers that night. That was a complete team effort. Everybody did their job. Everybody played their role. I was really, really pleased with the team that night, and particularly last night in Detroit. What's funny about it is Carolina played a better team and won 2-1 with Detroit, but also had to eke out a 2-1 overtime victory against Calgary in a game where they were 0-for-7 on the power play. That shit's got to get fixed.
Yes.
that was getting frustrating to watch. Like, it was really cool to see Aho score that overtime winner where me, AB, and Jeremy were sitting. We had a absolutely perfect view of it. But I remember leaving the building that night, and I told both of them, I'm like, we did not deserve to win that game. Now, that being said, joke's on you, Nazem Kadri, for thinking you were hot shit scoring on a 5-on-3. A lot of fucking good it did you.
All right, let's look at this. I'm almost done. I'll pull it up here in a second.
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right. So here's what we're looking at. I'll present, share my screen. Here we go. These are the two.
Alrighty.
That you were talking about.
Yeah. All right. So, biggest thing that I want to highlight here, Brock Nelson is on an expiring contract. What website are you using for this?
This is RotoWire.
Oh, okay. All right. So the biggest thing that I want to highlight here in regards to these two, when we're looking at second line centers, these are the first two realistic options, in my opinion. Now, there's some differences between these guys. Biggest thing being, I think both of them would be good fits. Ryan O'Reilly, however, is on another level defensively, and he brings a lot of experience along with that. Where I think that his biggest strength would be, I think he would adapt to the system a little bit faster. And if you put Ryan O'Reilly between, say, Svechnikov and Hall, for example, that could be really, really good. Maybe Svechnikov and Roslovic. Ryan O'Reilly's a very versatile player. You could set him with a lot of different guys, and it work out really well. Now, in terms of bringing in someone who is right-handed and brings that extra edge of physicality, that's Brock Nelson. The other big difference between these guys here, and then maybe you can jump in right after this. Brock Nelson.
Let me check their face-off percentage real quick.
Okay. Brock Nelson, I think they both have pretty good ones. I can tell you that already. If Ryan O'Reilly has a lower one this year, it's because of Brady Shea. Sorry, it's just too easy to do that.
Oh no,
But-
it is. It is.
But Brock Nelson, the reason I think he's a more realistic target is one, he's on an expiring contract. Ryan O'Reilly has a couple of years left after this. Now, the upside of that is we still don't have a long-term solution for the second line center. If you go get Ryan O'Reilly, you have bridged that gap for a couple of years until either you trade for one, draft and develop one, or go get one in free agency. That's one of the things to consider with that. So if it were up to me, if I'm looking at long-term, considering we don't have any legitimate, like, apparent second line centers in the system, and there doesn't really look to be anybody that Carolina could get in free agency at the moment, or anybody that Carolina would be willing to trade for outside of a situation like this, I personally would go for Ryan O'Reilly. Now, which player fits the need of the team itself more? I'm going with Brock Nelson.
Okay.
That's just me, but jump in anytime. Catherine said her screen's black. That's weird. Can everybody else still see us?
All right, so I will add this. So Brock Nelson.
Hey, check your settings. Some people are having a hard time seeing.
Oh yeah. Hold on.
Let me, he's checking his settings.
Let me share my screen here.
Yeah, that's weird.
And
all right, everybody. How about now?
Should be there.
Yeah, because I've got it pulled up.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, Alkane says he can see it.
Okay.
Oh, they're saying, oh yeah, we can't see the website. They can't see the website for some reason. That doesn't help us.
Oh, do they want the website, like the URL?
No. I'm saying they can't see the display on our screen.
Oh. Okay. Let me do this really quick.
Here.
Let's.
All right, then try it again.
I'll just here. I'll just do this. I'll do this.
Okay.
This should help.
Okay.
I'm sharing my entire screen, so
yeah, because we've done that before.
Oh, I'd shared the window, so this is the entire player screen.
Okay.
So if they can see that, I'll move it up and down a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, when it pops up, we'll do that because I haven't seen the thing to where I can click on it and add it to the stage yet.
Oh, wait. Hold on real quick. Entire screen share. I got to do this. I got to open my system settings real quick. Sorry about that.
Yeah, because I could see it, but I don't think the audience could.
Yeah. Here, let me.
Catherine,
do this.
Thank you. Alkanes, thank you. Tanner, thank you. Lewis the Bassman, also thank you for letting us know.
It should pop up here.
Okay.
All right. Let me try this. All right. Let me try this. All right. We'll do a window here. All right. Pull it up.
All right, everybody, can you see it now? Okay. Yep.
All right.
See it
cool.
now. All right.
Perfect.
So, all right, got it. Thank you, everybody. All right. So, going back to what I was discussing. So, these are the top two most realistic targets, if you ask me, that would fill the greatest need. Nelson, like, I don't think you'd have to give up as much to get him since he's on an expiring contract. And you could just slot him in to be the second line center, bring some physicality in, and then you can see how well he plays, and maybe you think about extending him. But Ryan O'Reilly, you don't have to worry about extending. You have him to, bridge the gap for a couple of years until you find another solution to the second line center problem. Both these guys would fit pretty seamlessly, though, especially O'Reilly. But I think Nelson fulfills a bigger need because his team needs some more grit. It needs some more sandpaper. It needs some more physicality. Ryan O'Reilly is not a super physical player. He uses his size more for puck protection. Both of them are good net front guys. What do you think?
So I did want to read this off. So Brock Nelson, his average time on ice is 19 minutes, 21 seconds. He does have 4 power play points, and he has 3 shorthanded goals. and 3 shorthanded power play, 3 shorthanded points. His shot percentage is 12.3, and his face-off percentage is 52.8. Now, if we look at Ryan O'Reilly, right now, we see that his time on ice is 1853. He has no shorthanded goals, no shorthanded points. However, he does have 12 power play points. He has 6 power play goals. He has a 14% shot percentage, and he has a 56.6 face-off percentage.
I think I would just go with Nelson. Here's okay. Final verdict between these two. I'm going to say Nelson. 1, right-handed center, so you get something you have really needed for a long time. Physicality, expiring contract, cheaper rental. And
what's
then
his contract?
I
know he signed a 6-year for $36 million. I know that.
So then it would be
this year.
That's what. Well, if it's a 6x6, then it would, or if it's 36 million, then it's 6x6.
Yeah, he's $6 million, and O'Reilly has term.
Yeah, that's what
for a year.
Well, 2. O'Reilly should have 2 left after this one.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like that. That's if the contract wasn't a factor, then Nelson far and away is the better choice here. But if we're talking about having a fit for a little while until we get a long-term solution to the second line center problem, which I'm going to upset some people when I say this, Jarvis. No, that's who I think should do it. I mean, I'm dead serious, but I'll talk about that another time. That's going to get its own stream.
Here, I'll close this out, and we'll do bring up other players.
So the next ones were actually, I'll tell you what. We'll take a break from talking about guys skating out. How about you pull up whatever you want in regards to any goalies you can think of? The only one I have on the list is John Gibson.
All right. Give me a minute.
Or, actually, I'll tell you what. How about Gibson and Vejmelka, maybe?
Okay. You just answer some questions while I do this, because I love both of these players' games.
Gibson and Vejmelka?
Oh, 100%.
And then after that, the only ones we have left are Geeky, Sissons, and Cousins as far as ones I have listed. Cousins is highly unlikely, so we'll just talk about him for a minute.
You said Gibson and Vejmelka.
Yeah, John Gibson and Kirill Vejmelka.
All right. I am a nerd.
Well, yeah, stemming over goalies is your thing, whereas I'm more of a shutdown defenseman and two-way center nerd.
All right, let me does anybody have some comments? Pull those up.
Yeah, I got some. Anthony Corona says it's a challenge to get information out of Carolina's front office, but as of 5 minutes ago, it seems to feel as if it's more than due diligence that Mikko may be on the market, according to Friedman 5 minutes ago.
No, shit. I don't agree.
Let me go see. Well, let me go see what he's posting.
All right, I'll just put this up.
Because if it's coming from Elliot Friedman, it's worth.
Well, actually, I'm gonna look at my phone.
No, the Anthony guy, he's not wrong.
You said Elliot Friedman?
Yeah, no, Friedman's got a little bit of an article about it. It's short enough to where I can read it out loud real quick.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Yeah,
I'll read it out, actually.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to, go ahead.
So, according to multiple sources, the Carolina Hurricanes are doing their Mikko Rantanen due diligence, checking out potential returns as either a rental or with an extension, assuming he's willing to sign anywhere before July 1st. Among the teams believed to be very interested are Toronto. It'll probably have to be with Mitch Marner, Dallas, and Los Angeles. Although that's a ridiculous incomplete list, who wouldn't want a $2.3 million cap hit if Carolina retained 50% of Rantanen's salary? But a trade return would be much better for the Hurricanes if Rantanen agreed to extend with a new team. Something else everyone's trying to determine. There are teams willing to set up in exchange for long-term security. If Carolina does not like the offers, they can keep the winger and make a run. But they have opened the door. We will see where this goes.
All righty. We'll see.
So
I'm ready for this trade deadline to be over. Honestly, dude, I'm ready for this season to be over. This season has been.
I want one guy.
This season has been fucking annoying. Alrighty. Well, we'll get through the comments here, and then we will do the goalie talk. Catherine Bartlett says, as far as the last 3 games, I think Rantanen has looked great. There's just a little bit of hesitation because he hasn't quite learned how to intuitively anticipate where his line mates are, and that'll come with due time. Anthony Corona says both would be great fits. Nelson would fit seamlessly, in my opinion. Yeah, I think they both would be great fits. The only reason I think Ryan O'Reilly would fit a little bit more seamlessly is he's known for how good of a defensive center he's going to be, or that he is. So Brendan Moore wouldn't have to say much to him in regards to what he would expect of him or what he would want him to do. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan O'Reilly modeled some of his game after Brendan Moore with the way that he plays. It wouldn't surprise me at all. All Canes Network says GMET isn't retaining anything. I wouldn't, unless you're getting like a seriously amazing return. I wouldn't. All right, go ahead with the goalie stuff, AB.
All right, I'm gonna nerd out a little bit.
You go right ahead. Have fun. Because then after this, we'll talk about Geeky, Sissons, and Cousins, and then we are going to call it a night.
All right, can anybody see this? Let me know if anybody sees this. Can everybody see it?
Hold up. Give them a second. I'm sure they can. They saw it last time.
Mm-hmm.
Worked it.
I got my notes pulled up here. Let me.
Well, now they're saying nope. They can't see it this time.
All right, let me do this real quick.
Oh, you're doing the share screen thing again?
Yeah.
Okay.
1 sec. All right, let me do this.
This is why I like Google Slides thing so much.
Right here. Can anybody see that?
No, you got to add it to the stage again.
Oh, sorry. Present, share screen, share. Oh, I got to do this. I forgot. Window. All right. Can they see this?
All right. Let's see. All right. Now that's up. Let's see if that works. If this doesn't work, then we'll just go all vocal until the end.
I have my stats on John Gibson and Corral.
I don't know why this doesn't want to work.
Velmeca. I don't know what it is, but are they saying it's not working?
Yeah, they can't see it.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I'll just Oh, wait. Try that.
Try what?
Does that work?
Hold up. All right. Maybe now it is.
Let's see.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
All right, go for it.
All right, let's see. Yeah. So, John Gibson, obviously, I played goalie, not in skating. I'll post my highlights one day on X in floorball. Don't mean to brag. I almost played in the U.S. Nationals. Don't mean to toot my own horn. But goalies are my thing. That's why I like my seats in the arena, because I get to see Kochetkov and Anderson play the way they do. So, John Gibson, this guy is a stud. He is a stud. I will say this. He has been injury prone for the last couple of years, but then again, it's probably overexhaustion from the Ducks. John Gibson's ability to go into the butterfly and his glove is insane. This guy is over 30 and his positioning is phenomenal, and he doesn't let go of his stick like somebody we know. And he was one of the top U.S. goaltenders in the world at one time when he was a backup for my all-time favorite goaltender, Jonathan Quick, on the U.S. team. John Gibson is a guy, when he stays healthy, knows how to be calm, cool, and collected, and knows how to make big-time stops. He does not spaz when the puck is close to him, when he has a good defense. 10 years ago, or gosh, like 8 years ago, when he had a good defense, he was great. And now that the Ducks are in a rebuild year and he is taking on more shots and moving around more. And again, John Gibson is not a Vasilevsky or an Ottinger that can take on those shots and deal with a crap defense. John Gibson is a solid goaltender when he stays healthy. If he were to be traded to Carolina, I think it would alleviate some of those injury problems. So I would like him to come here now with Karel Velmetka. He is a younger goalie compared to Gibson, and he is more of a stand-up type of goaltender. I see him more going past the circle and using his stand-up to his advantage. Now, he does drop well in the butterfly. His VH is very good. He hugs the post very well. But the thing with him compared to John Gibson, even though there's an age difference, John Gibson is more explosive when pushing off that right skate and pushing off that left skate. Velmelka is not. And I've noticed that in the games that I've watched both of them play. Velmelka, if he is on a team that has the right defense and has the workload off of him instead of playing every 4 games like Vasilevsky, Ottinger, Saros, Bobrovsky do, he is going to be a solidified goaltender. I'm not saying he already isn't, but I think having that 1A, 1B tandem with Kochetkov can really benefit his game. So he doesn't have the stress put on his knees and can learn from our goaltending coaches and learn from the system that he doesn't have to pretty much dial up 5 miles whenever he plays. If he goes into our system, he is going to be the 1A, 1B. He obviously would probably be the 1A, even though I love Kochetkov. And I think that's a guy that you can invest in and can really groom him into the goalie that he could be. I love John Gibson, but Velmelka, realistically, and the play style he plays is the ideal option. There's my nerd out.
Give me 1 second.
No, you're good. Any questions that I can answer about the goaltenders? Put them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. I nerded out. My bad.
Well, I'm the same way about, like, I mean, you saw how much I broke down, like, Slavin's game on its own. So, like, I totally understand. I'm the exact same way.
Goalies, man.
Yeah. And my friend Brett is the same way. But
was that pretty good about
I thought it was great because I don't know jack shit about goalies except how to piss them off. I really don't.
All right, everybody in the chat, ask me questions about goaltending. About Anderson, Kochetkov, or
I think you did a pretty damn good job explaining all of it.
Pardon?
I think you did a pretty damn good job explaining all of it. There might not be many questions to be had after that.
Oh, I just want to see them if they have any. I'll be happy to answer them. By the way, well, I already said this in the beginning. I'm probably going to make a highlight tape of me playing floorball, which is an alternate form of hockey as a goalie. So look out for that. We have a comment from Ave Clark and Dylan Bollinger.
All right. We got the Abe Clark comment here first. They ask, also, too, since the Utah goalie has a different style than Cucci, it will be harder for teams to prepare for them. I could see that. I mean, you would have a better answer for that than me.
Yeah, I will say that any NHL goalie is hard to prepare for, especially Vasilevsky, Ottinger, Saros, those outliers, Bobrovsky. NHL players have seen it all, and the stand-up goaltending is a dying breed. It's more of a hybrid and butterfly. I may be wrong about Velmelka's style of play, but from what I've seen, he's been a stand-up goaltender. All right. Dylan says, how big is Carell? He's 6'4". He's my height. He's 6'4". So he's a big guy, which is nice. If you have to pick one, who would you choose? I love John Gibson. I grew up watching him. But for liability and length, I would go Velmeka for that. Do you think Cooch can be or is a 1A? I'm very high on Kochekov. I don't know. I love the guy. I just think he's a little spazzy on those high danger chances, and he's gotten better at it. But the dropping the stick and committing to a player that has the puck and there's a 2-on-1 breakaway, he only focuses on that shooter and it'll burn him. He could be a 1A, but I really don't see it happening, in my opinion. Who might we go for in the offseason as far as goalies? Velmelka is the number one guy. You'll have Kochetkov as a backup, but Velmelka, I'd probably sign for about 3 years, $4 million. I just love the way he plays. I don't know if he'll make it to free agency.
Do you think that they can keep him and Connor Ingram both? I think one of them's going to have to hit free agency.
Well, Connor Ingram's been hurt. That's the problem. I had him on my fantasy team, and he was playing okay, and then he's been on IR since November. So I don't think they want to take the risk of having Ingram there and not have Velmeka. But they may want to move on and get a younger goaltender. So I don't know. I really don't know. If Velmeka makes it to UFA, he's a top goalie option. I'm interested into running 1A, 1B system. Yeah, we saw it with Anderson and Rantanen. Ranta. Sorry.
Damn, that guy does it all.
Shut up.
Sorry, that was hilarious.
Yeah, but you knew when we got Freddie, he was healthy and he was a gamer. And even when he was not healthy and we played the Panthers in the playoffs, when we had that playoff run, he was stellar. I think it could be a 1A, 1B system. Again, Velmelka would probably be 1A, but I wouldn't want the rotation back and forth. But I've told this to Brandon and Griff and the Sams and his friend Jeremy. Ideally, my dream scenario,
our friend Jeremy,
is to have a goalie that can start 4 games in a row and then give the goalie. But again, that's Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky, and Ottinger level. So yeah, I could definitely see a 1A, 1B scenario for sure.
I mean, the Canes prioritize depth in so many different things. I can see why they would do that with the goaltending. And then additionally, it's like the league as a whole is kind of going more and more towards a tandem approach as opposed to a starter and definitive backup approach. So
it started in the 90s heavily. History lesson. Patrick Waugh, Marty Brodeur, Ron Hextall, and I can't remember the goalie for the Rangers. That was very good. But in the 2000s, Henrik Lundqvist, you had Holtby for a little bit when he was good, and then he fell off a cliff. Ben
Jonathan
Bishop,
Quick,
when he played for the Lightning. You know,
Fleury.
It's a dying breed. It's a dying breed. What'd you say?
Fleury.
Fleury, yeah, when he was solid, and then Matt Murray took control, and that didn't work out very well, did it? Corey Crawford, Carey Price, Jonathan Quick.
Since you mentioned Corey Crawford, I have to ask.
Okay.
Me not being a very big goaltending expert, and I pissed a lot of people off back in the day when I said this.
Okay.
I actually thought Corey Crawford was one of the most overrated goalies I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
It's like, okay, I'm not saying that he wasn't good, but there were a lot of people who worshiped the ground he walked on. I'm like, the guy doesn't face that many difficult shots. He had Duncan Keith, Nicholas Hjalmarsson, Brent Seabrook. He had a really damn good defense in front of him. I don't think he was that good. Not saying that he was bad by any means. He wasn't. He had 2 Stanley Cups, but he was not as good as people made him out to be at the time. I just don't believe that. I'm sorry.
I disagree.
I figured you would.
You have a lot of Stanley Cup teams that had a really good defense. When the Kings won their first cup in 2012, their defense was stacked.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. The Avalanche, when they won, when Darcy Kemper was the goalie, they were stacked.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the Lightning, even though you had Vasilevsky. Corey Crawford served his purpose. Do I think he was a huge Vezina goaltender like 2 times? Absolutely not. But he was a very solid goaltender, and he helped guide that team to 3 Stanley Cups. And that's a testament to him.
I thought he was on 2 of those teams.
The defense can only do so much, even though it's a great defense, but you have to make the clutch saves in time. I think Jonathan Quick is 10 times better than he is. Blackhawks fans attack me, but Jonathan Quick was a stud. So, I mean, I agree but disagree with your comment. What else we got?
Well, I thought Crawford was only 2 of those cups. I thought it was I'll
3.
remember his name in a sec. No, the first one was I'll remember his name in a minute. Hold on.
I don't think it was. It was 2010, 2013, and 2015 when they had the 3 cups.
Yeah, but it was someone different in 2010. I'm trying to remember his name. It was Auntie something. Not Ranta, obviously, but
absolutely not. Scott Darling was the backup for 2015 Canes legend. No, I think it was Crawford who was in net.
I don't think it was him in 2010, dude.
I'm gonna look it up, and if
I'm trying to remember his name.
My piece.
It was a Finnish goalie, and Antti Niemi. That's what it was.
That's who I was trying to remember. He started in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, he did. Antti Niemi. That was the one. That was I kept wanting to say Auntie something. Antti Niemi. That's who it was. Okay. I was trying to remember off the top of my head. I didn't want to look.
Really? Was it not Corey Crawford?
No, because I remember a lot of people.
That's right. It was Hewitt. That's right. I'll eat my words. It was Hewitt who was the starter, and Niemi came in.
Yes,
because I remember that year Niemi got undressed by my favorite player of all time, Pavel Datsyuk, with the dragon flip. That's right.
Yeah.
But Crawford was 2013, 2015. That's right. That's right.
All right. We're going to get through the rest of the comments here. We'll save the rest of the trade talk for another time because it's 9:30. I got some stuff I got to finish up and then go to bed. Anthony Corona says Vejmelka would be intriguing. Also could potentially be more friendly cap-wise. Yeah, he would cost less money than John Gibson would as far as like a free agent goalie, or even if they went out and got him now. I don't see any reason why they would, though. I think they're just going to roll with the goaltending tandem they
There's
got.
no goalie that's available that's high.
Yeah, and
That's
honestly,
it.
I want to see playoff Kochetkov again because in 2022, I really liked him for the most part.
Better than Monta.
Michael Hardy says also, what are your critiques of Cooch? Yeah, you kind of already voiced those, though.
He spazzes on stuff in front of the net. He is quick. He has very good push off his left skate and his right skate. The stick drop is not an NHL goalie. He can make big saves, but there's some when he's on a breakaway and his glove's not there or his blocker's not there. And when his blocker is there, he'll drop a stick. And with a goalie like that, I love Kochetkov, but I don't trust him to lead a Stanley Cup winning team. I would have him as a very solid backup. Again, Kochetkov is a very good goaltender. I love him, but they're just some mistakes that can really cost you in the long run, especially in a playoff run. So, yeah.
Flavors Mage says, I don't care how good a goalie is. It feels like abuse to have your top goalie play 60-plus games. I agree. Those days are over at this point.
Yeah.
It's the max is going to start. The max is going to start being like 50, and especially considering that the season looks like it's going to be 84 games before too much longer, which I'm personally
it's 82
against.
Right now.
It's 82 right now, and they're talking about making it 84. Ask Gary. I'm personally against the season getting any longer. I think it should be a little bit shorter, if anything.
What do you think? Like 62 games?
Oh, no, not that much. I was thinking more like 74.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, well, here's another thing. So Griff and I were actually talking about this last time that it was just him and I on Caniac sessions. Like we were talking about how, Four Nations and the upcoming World Cup of Hockey and the Olympics fit in with the schedule and everything. And, well, we had this big general consensus. The All-Star game needs to be done. There's just nothing appealing about it. I didn't even like it as a kid. The only All-Star game I like is the MLB All-Star game because they actually, go full throttle in the MLB All-Star game. The NHL All-Star game just kind of sucks. You don't like the MLB All-Star game?
No.
Oh.
I will say this, and this is controversy. I loved watching the NBA. I loved watching LeBron and Kobe. The All-Star game died after 2001 in the NBA. They played hard, man.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't – and in the 90s, when Michael Jordan was playing and Kobe was trying to prove himself and all these other guys had huge rivalries, and now it's just, I got nominated. Here's the puck. Let me do a wraparound. You know what I mean? They need to have the Four Nations face-off for the NHL. They need to do for the MLB, they need to do the World Cup for that, for the break. And, yeah, I mean, just the All-Star games are so bad, and especially NBA slam dunk contests and whatever.
Oh, you know what would a home run derby based on what country you're from? That would actually be kind of cool.
Nah,
I could go for that. What, you don't like the home run derby? That's the best part of the weekend.
Oh, I love the home run derby, but it's just not entertaining anymore since Ortiz retired, Rodriguez, the steroid king, Bonds, steroid king.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
All these guys. I think a World Baseball Classic, instead of having it right before the season or it in the middle summer, have it in the middle. That'd be really competitive. And
I could go for that.
Watch.
Yeah, but anyway, what Griff and I were talking about was maybe on the seasons where you have the Olympics and you have the World Cup of Hockey, maybe you do just a conventional 82-game season then for those, and then you have a longer season with no All-Star break or anything like that, where if you don't have a World Cup of Hockey, if you don't have the Olympics, if you don't have something like the Four Nations face-off, something like that, then you can do an 86-game season or a 90-game season or something like that. I am personally against there being more games, but I also know the NHL will not make the season shorter, even though I think it would ultimately benefit the game to make it a little bit shorter, but they're not going to give up that revenue. I would rather them come up with some sort of way of expanding the playoffs a little bit to shorten the regular
100%.
season. Because here's what I'm thinking.
I will say something after you do that.
When we get to the point where when we get to the point where we have more teams in the league, like 34, for example, if there was like, say, a 1-game playoff between the 8th and the 9th seed to get the very last spot in the playoffs, and they have to play game 1, round 1 immediately the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I would, there's a lot of things I would do differently. And this also applies to my other favorite league, the SPHL. I would gladly give up a few regular season games to expand the playoffs in some sort of way, as long as it does not totally fuck the top teams, kind of like the wild card round does in the MLB.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only thing about
it. So I will say this, the NBA did a good job about doing this. So you have the teams that are guaranteed for each conference. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 teams. No, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 teams like set.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have 2 games for each conference. One is the 8th seed, one is the 9th seed, one is the 10th seed, one is the 11th seed. Now, the winner of the 8th and 9th game plays the 2nd seed. And then the loser of the 9th seed goes into the next round. And then the winner of the 11th and 12th seed, the 10th and 11th seed, goes to play the loser of the 8 and 9. And whoever wins that one goes to the 8th seed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that's a good one. If you haven't seen the way the NBA play-in works, I think that's a good alternative for the NHL. And not doing it division-based, because it pisses me off.
Yeah, I don't think that I've ever sat down and watched an NBA game in my life, and I watch some Heels college ball once in a while, but that's about my extent of my
real quick.
involvement in basketball. I'll go through some more comments while you're doing that. Tanner says, "Don't hate on Crawford. I grew up watching him with a lot of other Blackhawks prospects."
We're not hating him.
Oh, I'm not hating on him. I just don't think he was as good as people said he was in the AHL with the Norfolk Admirals. Yeah. Oh, I used to go to Norfolk Admirals games pretty frequently when I was stationed there. That's why I was hoping that they would stay Carolina's ECHL affiliate now that they're an ECHL team, because I'm like, finally, I can like this team. But I sure as hell could not cheer against the Charlotte Checkers. So, and I didn't want to be one of those guys that like went to Admirals games and I'm like, oh, look at me, I'm a fan of the Admirals, and then the Checkers would show up and they're like, oh, never mind, I pulled a Ranger fan and carry fucking moment. I didn't want to do that.
All right, can you see this? Just want to make sure. Can anybody see that?
We'll see what everyone says here, because I really got to jump off of here soon.
Yeah. After this, I'm done.
Yeah.
They can see it?
They haven't replied yet.
Oh, okay.
Alkane says nope.
All right. Try this real quick, and then we'll be done. Present, share screen, window, StreamYard. What about now?
And I've got it pulled up. And let's see what everyone says. Nope. All right. We'll just have to give up that venture. We'll talk about that another time.
No worries.
Yeah. We'll talk about that another time. But let's get through. So 3 people here said Antti Niemi, because I couldn't remember who the hell it was.
Neither did I. So
Dylan Bollinger said, yeah, and you're the goalie nerd. You should have known before I did. I also don't think that Igor is the god the media made him out to be. No, but I'm really damn glad that the Rangers paid him $11.5 million, though. I'm very happy about that.
They said the same thing about Sorokin, that he was the god, but look at him.
Yeah, playoff Sorokin was another animal.
No, even regular season, he's been struggling.
Yeah.
But anyways, go ahead.
Anthony Corona says, ironically, they were discussing that today on Under Review on Sirius. Whichever of the many topics that was, it was either Antti Niemi or Corey Crawford or something like that.
Probably Vejmelka or something.
Or Vejmelka, yeah. So yeah, we talked about a lot of shit just now. Anthony Corona also says Anaheim would retain for a first for Gibson. Carolina doesn't want to pay a first.
No, they would not.
I wouldn't give up a first for that anyway.
I think we're the 2nd and 5th.
Yeah.
Take.
B says if Russia had a team in the 4-nation face-off, how well would they have done? I think they would have been the 3rd best team in the tournament.
I'd say 2nd. No,
Well,
no. Third.
No, the reason I
Third.
say third is because Finland, if they had their full complement of defensemen, Heiskanen in particular, I think it would have been much more interesting for them.
I don't know.
Heiskanen's a difference maker, bro. Like he's one of the best.
But the rest of their defensemen are not.
Yeah, but he's really good. And they didn't have Ristolainen,
Who
which
does
took some of
Roman
the
Josi
physicality.
play for nationally?
He's Swiss.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah,
I thought he was Swedish.
nah, he's Swiss. All right, boys. I think that is going to be it for me tonight. I will try to do a stream during the game tomorrow night, maybe. I know you'll be there, so
I will not be there. Actually,
oh, you're not going to go? Okay.
I have to work Friday to do play-by-play for Division II baseball.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I will try to do a stream during the game tomorrow night just so we can talk about more stuff. It kind of depends. And like I said, when the end of the month comes around, you guys ain't going to be hearing much from me around that time. I'm going to be really, really busy. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We had 755 total viewers.
Wow. I do want to say one thing.
You go right ahead.
Follow me on X, AB Caniac Session, and I will post a link on X of me announcing for Division II baseball, and I'll be doing it baseball as well on Saturday. Please come check it out. Give me some critiques. I'm starting my career in play-by-play, so it would mean a lot to me. Just had to.
I'm not laughing at you, but Colby McLam tagged me. It said awesome stream tonight at the warning take, and then he accidentally tagged the wrong AB. He tagged at Canes Hockey 92, which is the other AB.
He meant, real one.
Yeah, he meant well, but dude, there's more than one Griff too.
It doesn't matter. I'm the real AB, and like Jeremy said,
be careful repeating what Jeremy says online.
Yes, Jeremy, if you're watching this, you are a fantastic fellow.
He's probably doing something responsible like sleeping.
All right. Anyways, man, I'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. But yeah, I will see you later, bud. All right. So let's see. Get these last couple of comments here. Flavorous Mage says, Toodles, fellow Caniacs. Toodles, see you too, my friend. All Canes Network. I'll be at the game tomorrow. Cheer loud for me. I will be watching from here, and I'll try and do a little bit of a stream during the game, but I got other little projects that I want to work on here. So everybody, thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it. Y'all take care. I will see you next time.